When they moved beyond the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, they even came to my local town of about 25,000 people. People were very nervous, of course, about going out if you were an immigrant.
Now we can see a big crowd. These are very big trees. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
I won't ask a question, I'll say the truth.
Szép estét kívánok mindenkinek, én Szabó Gyula vagyok, és itt van velünk Dean Schultz az Egyesült Államokból, Minnesotából. Ma este egy interjút fogunk vele készíteni, amiben érinteni fogjuk a januári és februári ICE ügynökök által elkövetett bűncselekményeket, gyilkosságokat, és természetesen azt is, hogy ő ebből mit ért meg. Ez az interjút angolul fogjuk elkészíteni, ugyanis ez az ő anyanyelve. So, now we are switching to English. Hey Dean, could you give us like a kind of an introduction of yourself?
I'm Dean Schultz. I'm American. I live in the state of Minnesota, in a small city south of Minneapolis, about 45 miles. And I'm here on vacation in Hungary and agreed to be interviewed.
Thank you. So now we'll dive right in. The first topic is what personal experiences do you have regarding the ICE shootings around the time of the murder of Renee Good and Alex Purdy? First, we're going to see a video about this, so everybody knows what we are talking about. So this is going to be the shooting of Renee Good.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Whoa!
So basically this was a video from the point of view of the ICE agent that later shot Renee Good. Obviously we can't see the shooting here, but I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this has already seen a perspective of anyone else standing there. Basically what happened, there was a raid by ICE agents on some they said there are some illegal immigrants here in the suburbs of Minnesota, and there was a raid against them, and people were protesting the ICE agents. They were trying to stop them, so on. And when the protesters were trying to leave, you can see on the red car. So there was a red car which Renee Good was in. And she just told the ICE officer that she's not mad at him, she's not mad at ICE, so on. They want to change license plates and these stuff. And then when she tried to leave, steering the right of the ICE agent, he took his gun. He first shot through the front window and then right in the face of Renee Good, like 20 centimeters away. So it was a very brutal, some people even say it was an execution, and it was a very brutal crime, and some people could even see that this is the first time when some say fascist regime of Donald Trump and Make America Great Again and the Republican Party actually did something against someone who is not an immigrant, someone who is not politically different. I mean, she probably was, but the point was that she was not a foreigner. She was born in the USA, her family was. Obviously, she came from Europe, but this was a white person. That was most of the point. Now, what I'm mostly curious about is what you think of this whole subject, and if you've seen anything from it. Obviously not live or not the original one, but later maybe the protest or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, my impression is she was exercising all her rights that she has as an American to protest. They are allowed to be there. They're allowed to be in the street. They can't stop the ICE agents in the performance of their duties, but they can be there to film. Many of these protesters have been gone to a course. They wanted citizen volunteers who would monitor what's going on. They showed them how to do this, how to film, to be respectful, to follow the rules and everything. And this obviously turned into a very bad situation. They commented on the license plate also, because ICE was illegally filming license plates, and then they would arrive at someone's house later. They would research them, figure out who was the driver, who was the owner of the vehicle, and then go and possibly look for illegal immigrants in that place, or to just put them on a list of troublemakers or whatever that they were looking for. So it's a horrible situation, and she obviously was killed and was doing nothing that was against her constitutional rights.
Okay, have you seen anything regarding ICE agents during your work? Like as a flight attendant,
Yeah, I work for a major American airline, fly out of Minneapolis, and going to work one day, there was, by our offices in the airport, there was a place, section that was cordoned off where people leave the airport down below baggage claim, and they had ICE agents there, maybe 20, 30 ICE agents, and anyone, passenger, didn't matter race, didn't matter ethnicity, they were checking IDs and boarding passes and everything, leaving the airport, not even going into the airport. At this point, they were leaving, and they were stopping everyone. And then there were some protesters who the airport police and I assume local police were kind of keeping back so there were no confrontations. But there was local media there, a lot of attention on that, and that was going on. For the time I saw them, maybe 30 minutes, but it started before I got there, so it could have been going on even longer. And just causes disruptions, nothing that I saw, no one was arrested, no one was taken into custody as being an illegal immigrant. But yeah, that was a major thing I saw, other than ICE vehicles all around. And when they moved beyond the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, they even came to my local town of about 25,000 people, and there were ICE vehicles, and sometimes they were parked at intersections just looking around, and people were very nervous, of course, about going out if you were an immigrant, and just making life uncomfortable.
Also about airports, there was one time, this is also related to ICE and airports. One time a Norwegian guy came as a tourist, went to the USA. I think he landed in New York, and he was deported. Obviously, he wasn't told why that was, but the point is, I show you what their reasoning was. It was a picture of the Vice President of the United States, and it was this one. Obviously, this is very much edited, and he had this on his phone, and this is the only reason they deported him. Mm-hmm. And he was there as a tourist and as work. I can't remember, maybe even studying abroad. But like they even do some ridiculous stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Also, yeah. Back to Renee Good. The most horrible thing was probably that she was a mother, she had a child. She was a queer woman. She was a lesbian, and she lived with her wife and their 6-year-old child. They had a son. So, I mean, this is quite ridiculous, even in the sense that Donald Trump and, I mean, if we're looking at Hungarian affairs here, even Viktor Orbán is trying to seem like they're both trying to seem that they are people for the families, and then Donald Trump's Gestapo just shot a mother, mm-hmm. whose son now needed to be left alone. Also about families, it's also ridiculous that they are basically just deporting even whole families, or just the fathers or the mothers, and little kids are left alone. I don't know if you heard about Liam Perez, I think that was his name. It was, I think, a 5 or 6 year child. He was deported in the north, and I think it was a blue state, maybe in New York. And all he had on him was his school backpack, because he was basically kidnapped when going to school, and his Spider-Man hat. And this got very viral online, and even the judge overlooking this case of deporting, even she said that she would take care of him, but no, ICE and the government said, no, you cannot. They take care of him. We don't know where he is right now. Also, we don't know where his parents are. We don't know where a lot of deported people are in general, obviously. But there are rumors that these deported, mostly Mexican and Hispanic people, are taken to Guantanamo Bay, because there are claims that there's a concentration camp there. Also in Florida, Alligator Alcatraz, that's the name, and in El Salvador. And there are very disturbing images. I don't think we are even. It's even possible that we show you this one. So let's move on to
the Norwegian guy, though. I believe he had overstayed his visa, and so for something very minor, usually they'll overlook that if you're a day or 2 or 3 days over your visa, and you'll pay a penalty and be allowed to leave. I believe his situation was then they required his cell phone, and they looked at his social media. That's where they found the offensive video of, in their opinion, offensive video of the vice president, and therefore they always go to the extreme. So they deported him, and it was a much bigger deal, and those were Europeans. The little boy, he was actually from Minneapolis. They arrested and took the father down. Often they went to schools looking for kids that they could get the parents. So they went to the school, they got the kid, and I don't know if there was a mother involved, but they took the kid home, and obviously the father will come out of the house because his little child's there. That's when they tackled the father, arrested him, and then he was taken away. The little boy was sent to a detention center in Texas, and he was held there for several weeks, and a judge in Minnesota or somewhere in the country finally said, you must release him. After 2 or 3 orders were ignored, the Trump administration did send him back to Minnesota, and the last I had heard, he's in Minnesota somewhere with family. So I don't know if that's his mother, but his father is somewhere in the system. Yeah, it's very sad. But anyways, you can continue with your question.
So the next topic is the shooting of Alex Perry, who, for a little background, he was a nurse, and in this situation, he was helping bystanders filming videos about, once again, an ICE raid in Minnesota. Actually, this was only like about 2 corners away from the shooting of Renee Good, and about 3 corners from the killing of
George Floyd?
Yeah, George Floyd from 2020. Yeah, that was also a very difficult thing, also under Trump. There's going to be some kind of commentary by text, and maybe even some distractions and pausing the video.
What the fuck is wrong with you? People, the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
So obviously, as the video in the beginning stated, this is a very disturbing topic, a very disturbing video, because a man can be seen shot, and that's very offsetting. They obviously even had to blur it for obvious reasons. As I talked about it, this is very close to the previous murders. What do you think about this one?
Well, this one again, he was trained as an observer. He had been to other protests before this as well, when ICE was out hunting down immigrants and detaining them. And he went here to film and just observe. And when a federal agent, an ICE agent, shoves a woman down on an icy street, he stepped in to defend her. So he did nothing wrong. The gun he had, he was legal to carry. If you want to carry a gun in certain states, you're allowed to do that. And you can have it out in public, you can do all that, but you have to go through a process. And it has to be approved by the sheriff and the local law enforcement. So he had a permit. If they had asked him for his permit, he has to show the permit, and he's allowed to have it. He did not pull out his gun. They attacked him, and the minute they pushed him to the ground, they saw his gun, probably sticking out of the back of his pants, and shot him without asking any questions, and then shot him several more times. So he was doing something legal to do. He was within his rights to do it, but he ended up dead.
Yeah, basically all it is was mostly to protect others in this case, and also filming the whole process, or well, there is not really a process here, just ICE agents raiding and killing people. But yes, this is a very brutal showcase of the power of the current state or the current government of the United States of America, which is very barbaric, basically, like just seeing someone protecting others, and just shooting him.
And without the documentation, without people out there filming and observing what's going on, the officer's word is usually relied on in court later when someone wants to sue.
Yeah.
You killed my son, you killed my husband, you killed my wife, and yeah.
And obviously Alex
You need proof.
Yeah, obviously Alex doesn't have a say in this because he was shot, and he doesn't even have. They didn't even give him the right of defending himself. This is basically why he had a gun in the first place, to defend himself, but they didn't give him a chance.
And ICE's goal and the Trump administration's goal was to get rid of violent criminals, illegal aliens, not native-born citizens, no matter what race or color they are.
The next topic is, we kind of discussed that, but we're going to go back to the airport patrolling. This is from ABC News. This is an American TV channel, basically kind of like RTL or ATV in Hungary, but this is a bit more free. The topic again is the airports and the ICE patrolling there, which Dean already has talked about, but we're going to see some footage now, and we're going to talk about that.
You had any joint meetings with them? Do they appear to be doing anything to help alleviate all the chaos?
Absolutely not. Today was my first day back to work, seeing them there. And I had to really compose myself before I went into the building. I get to work about an hour early. I have to be there at 3:15. I'm usually getting there around between 2 and 2:15. And I really had to compose myself because I got emotional walking through the door, seeing these ICE agents there. They're the reason, this entity is the reason why we're not getting paid. And to come in, and after about an hour of work, they're coming into the building, they're getting paid just to stand around, drink coffee, talk on the phone, walk the hallways. It's very hurtful. It's a smack in the face, if you ask me.
Is there any interaction, or is it just tense? No interaction.
So what they are talking about is basically these TSA officers like her. We don't know her name, but she's not really a public figure. The point is that these ICE agents are now not only taking a lot of times the job of police officers, but even TSA officers at the airports. So this whole communication of the Trump administration about creating jobs, creating jobs and ending endless government spending. They didn't do that. They destroyed jobs. They destroyed jobs in the airport. Even a lot of air traffic controllers were laid off. Same with, probably even TSA officers, and now a lot of the times ICE agents are doing their job. This is the same with police. You can see that ICE is often used as a police and then just go around and shooting people. And also about endless spending, they just raised that. ICE has a bigger budget than any other military in the entire world. It almost has the exact same budget as the US military. I think maybe only the Chinese military is about that, but there's this huge spending on ICE, and it's obviously very useless.
Yeah, all this comes under the Homeland Security Department, and under that, in Homeland Security, are TSA officers who work in the airport, there's ICE agents, and there's several other agencies, and that budget is huge. The TSA officers are not being paid because they're under the same organization. So Congress was upset, Democrats especially, that ICE was using face masks to hide their identity when they were out. They were upset about 2 people being killed, 2 American citizens. They were upset about the deportation, separating families and children. And so they said no more money. Well, the Trump administration wants more money. So all these people in Homeland Security are not being paid for the month, or for at least a month now. And so Trump said, of course, to send ICE in there to help the TSA get people moving. It's Easter, it's spring break, summer's coming, we need to get the airports not so crowded. Well, ICE officers can't do anything in the airport. They cannot scan bags, they cannot do security for passengers, they're not trained for that. These are law enforcement officers in immigration, so they really have no role. So they can wander around the airport, make everyone feel uncomfortable. Maybe if you're here illegally or you have a violation on your visa, you'll just stay away from the airport. So what are they doing? They're just not helping at all. So the chaos is still there in the airport. And it's unfortunate that other people have to suffer because they want to make ICE follow the rules and institute new rules like no face masks out there on patrol. And so I guess we have chaos until they can agree to fund the Homeland Security Department.
Yeah, also I've heard there were some, the serious conflicts around the Homeland Security because Christina, she was also fired, just like, fortunately I can't remember the name of the ICE main executive. I think he's the Homeland Deputy. I forget his name as well, but yes, he went back to the border near Arizona or California, and now he has announced he's leaving as well. Yeah. Greg Bovino, I think his name is. Bovino, that was the name. Yeah, well, there were multiple pieces of videos about him basically just being a Nazi, either doing a Nazi salute or wearing a Nazi cape, or not a Nazi cape but a Nazi coat. There was also some videos where he went around with the ICE agents on these big trucks, or just among them, and it was just basically like seeing Hitler or saying some kind of Nazi war general among the Gestapo officers and agents. Like it's so disturbing, so embarrassing, and so just genuinely satirical. And what's most disturbing about this, that we're always saying that history must not repeat itself, and never again, even with 9/11 and even with the Holocaust, and now they're doing it again, both in the United States. And also because they lie about it. Don't believe that didn't happen. The Holocaust didn't exist. Yeah. None of this happened. Well, if you believe that, if you get all your media from your own source and you don't believe it, then you're obviously going to make the same mistakes and same problems. People also responded with protests in Minnesota, New York, Los Angeles, everywhere. And I think we should see some pictures about that. So, we were at the protest in Minnesota. We were talking about it. people were very outraged, obviously, and this was actually thanks to the internet, which is obviously a good thing that this got, I don't know how to say this, but viral, and a lot of people saw this, a lot of people were very angry, and a lot of people went to the streets, maybe even 100,000 people. I even heard some of those numbers. Obviously, there were big protests in 2025 in June, on Donald Trump's birthday, in October on MLK Jr.'s birthday, which is also George Floyd's birthday. And you know who else was born on October 14th? Fortune or misfortune has it, Charlie Kirk.
Oh.
And the government was also planning to make it Charlie Kirk Day on the birthday of MLK Jr. and George Floyd. You know, it was very weird and mostly just outraging. So people took to the streets in Minnesota, in New York, everywhere. But it was kind of new to Minnesota because most of the news were about Los Angeles and New York and Chicago before. Now we're going to see some pictures about that. So, you know, these are like, there were a lot of symbolism, like we the people, I believe this is from the Constitution,
Yeah.
right? This is obviously about the U.S. government not even taking into consideration that the Constitution should be followed. I thought all lives matter. This is kind of a satire against Republicans and MAGA, because you know when George Floyd was killed, a lot of people were saying Black Lives Matter. And then the Republicans and the right-wing people were saying all lives matter. And they were even saying this about abortions and so on. And now I thought all lives matter. And when the time comes when the Republicans could protect or defend white people who were shot, and obviously it's not any worse or any better than Hispanic or black people being shot, it's just that it's very unusual for Republican-led governments to do such things. Also, Ice Out, yes, this is a very popular phrase. Obviously, we can see people being very serious about it, even the face is covered. This could be a reference to ICE agents, but here in Hungary, mostly anarchists do this.
This is imitating the ICE agents who came with their face covered so they could not tell who they were.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is a very good picture. This is really good. I think, yeah, this was in the first few weeks. Also, we can see them. I think this is in Minneapolis. This is the ICE detention center.
Yes.
I've seen
the federal building in Minneapolis where they took the people they arrested, the illegals, there, and held them while they, before they transferred them or before they resolved their case.
This is the ICE detention center, if I'm correct. And there was almost a siege of this because a lot of people, we can see also here, went out in the cold to protest them. There weren't these serious policemen because, you know, see, police, I think that's what it says, yeah. And there were ICE agents who had very amateur, not even uniforms, so very amateur stuff on them, like just generally like green shirts and pants. And people wanted to go in, and they wanted them to release the people held at detention, or basically concentrated, we could say that, and they actually gave in. They went inside. Yeah, they closed the gates, but they didn't bother talking to people anymore. And I think this was closed down later, maybe. Like they really retreated that much. Yeah, we can see these are ICE agents now with these more covered faces, not helping guys. Yeah, we can see people being in the snow. So yeah, there were really big protests, and we were also talking about No King's Day, which we also have some pictures of, and I think a few days from now, on March 28th, 2026, Saturday, there's going to be a massive No King's Day protest in also Minneapolis, but I think it's going to be nationwide.
Yeah, nationwide, the protest will occur. Minneapolis is going to be the center of the local one, and of course, they have many celebrities coming to voice their protests. Bruce Springsteen, who wrote a song about the streets of Minneapolis and what was happening, famous actors, actresses, musicians, politicians, will all be in Minnesota. So that will be one of the focus points of the nationwide protest.
No Kings here. I think this was last year, because we can see that people are dressed more loosely. I think this was in October. Yeah, Minnesota. The protests were cancelled. 2 lawmakers shot. Yeah, I heard there were a lot of. I think that was the time. I think there's those 2 lawmakers. I think they were a couple, maybe even. And I remember that they were Democrats and all. I think there's been a big arrangement about this. It was around the time when Renee Good and Alex Perry were shot, and obviously these were made for people to protest against ICE doing this. Mm-hmm. Now we can see a big crowd. Like, I mean, these are very big trees. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people. There will even be a lot in Hungary. I mean, obviously, we're a much smaller country, but it's very important. And, we obviously had a lot of protests under the regime of Orbán and Fidesz, and it's been very common, and there have been more than 500,000 people protesting. I mean at once. There were one time when there were 600,000 or 700,000 people going on the Pride March in 2025.
I think nationwide they estimated about 7 million nationwide. Yeah. So it was one of the biggest protests ever in the United States, and it occurred all over.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you were just this close to revolution. Yeah, and we can see a lot of people with flags, with even
signs.
Yeah, signs. So yeah, this was even a Palestine flag. Yeah, most people who stood up against genocide, he also stood up for Palestine, obviously, but that's a different topic. We might talk about that later. I mean, not now. So, yeah, there have been really big arrangements. I don't know if you have anything else to comment on this.
Just use your legal rights. I mean, if you don't use them, you can lose them. If you want to sit home and not vote, you don't want to participate, you just want to read the news and get angry and post on social media, that's not making a change. You have to go out and do it. So, yeah, use them or lose them, I guess.
Thank you for coming here, and thank you for sharing your stories, thank you for sharing your comments, and most pedig visszatérünk a magyarra. Köszönöm szépen a figyelmeteket, esetleg, hogy eddig nem tettétek volna, akkor iratkozzatok fel, lájkoljátok a videót, és nézzétek meg a többi platformainkon is, Instagramon, TikTokon, akár Facebookon is. Viszontlátásra!